All right, welcome everybody to WagerTalk Today. We've got a great football game tomorrow night. Well, not according to the line, but according to the fans of Denver and Kansas City, we're going to take that game apart in great detail. We're also going to look at the New Orleans Saints game, some college football, some WNBA, and the Dodgers and Diamondbacks. Welcome, everybody, to the best daily sports betting show on the planet. I am Lawrence Presman. My co-host, Teddy Covers, and right off the bat, we're going to welcome the great Bryan the Bangs Power. How are you, Bryan? What is going on in your world?
Not much, Prez. Yes, Prez, Teddy, pleasure as always. Hoping to do as well as I did last week. Had the over on Thursday Night Football, gave that out. And then UCLA over Wazoo. Teddy, you asked me, do we know if UCLA is any good? I still don't know the answer to that question, but the defense is pretty good at least, and they got us the win. So there you go.
Sure. Defense has been great for the Bruins so far. They face another tough test this week, this time on the highway. But we're going to not go down the college football rabbit hole just yet. Let's talk a little MLB to open the show. Actionable info for today's Major League Baseball. You want to talk the LA Dodgers and the Arizona Diamondbacks. Right now, look at the WagerTalk live odds screen. I'm seeing LA anywhere from minus 120 to minus 130 as road favorites. Total 9.5. Where are we going with the Dodgers and D-backs?
Yeah, so last week on the Power 5, I did an LDS preview. Gave out one team I was buying, one team I was selling. My buy team was Texas, which, with the benefit of hindsight, looks pretty sharp. Unfortunately, though, my sell team was Arizona, who I have to say, guys, I am just astounded that this D-backs team is up 2-0 in this series and now 4-0 overall this postseason. The other 7 teams that qualified for the LDS happen to comprise the top 7 of my power ratings. It's not really a surprise, right? You should expect the best teams to make it this far. But Arizona not only is not 8th in my power rankings, I don't have them in the top 15. I had not 5 non-playoff teams rated better than the D-backs, but give them credit. In the wild card round, they become just the second team in postseason history, guys, to win the final 2 games of a series by 3 or more runs after trailing by multiple runs in each game. Yes, I know it was only a 2-game series, but only other team to do that, by the way, for the record, Miami in 2003, who, of course, had help from Steve Bartman. But on to Game 3 here versus the Dodgers. I want to fade Arizona here, but the price on Lance Lynn is too high for me. He has been marginally better since coming over from the White Sox, but still a couple blow-ups in a Dodgers uniform. He has given up more home runs than any other pitcher in baseball this year, 44 in total, 12 in his last 7 starts, 5.73 ERA for the year, 6.06 on the road. Brandon Pfaadt, though, for Arizona, don't trust him either. He started twice against the Dodgers this year. The result, 9.35 ERA, allowed 10 runs and 14 hits, 8 2/3 innings. And he hasn't been that effective overall. 6.46 ERA and a 1.30 whip on the year. I thought he was very lucky, Teddy, to get away with only giving up 3 runs in the wild card start against Milwaukee. Milwaukee left a ton of runners on base early, and I am not scared of this high total because Dodgers road games this year averaged 10.7 runs per game. That is the highest in all of baseball. Best over mark away from home, 51, 26, and 4. Give me over 9.5 in Game 3 tonight between these 2 NL West teams.
So the Dodgers closed out the regular season on October 1st. They played a 3-game set with San Fran, scored 6-1 and 5 runs. All 3 of those games stayed under the total. Then they had basically 6 days off, played 1 game, scored 2 runs, had another day off, played 1 game, scored 2 runs, now have another day off. What makes you think, I understand that we want to fade, that you want to fade Arizona's pitching.
And, here's the thing. We're not just betting them to score runs. We're betting Arizona to score runs as well. I think between the 2 of them, over the course of 9 innings, Teddy, we can get 10 runs.
And keep in mind, everybody, Bryan Power is on a 10-0 MLB totals run. He likes the over in the Dodgers Diamondbacks game. Congratulations on that run. Outstanding stuff. We got a great show lined up. Brian's going to look at the South Carolina-Florida game. We got Eric Pauly from the Gold Sheet joining us. He's going to take apart the New Orleans Saints game, and also the Thursday night football game, the Broncos versus Kansas City. Teddy has a big game breakdown. We are going to do our buy and sell segment as well, and Ronald Cabang will end the show with a WNBA bet and a prop bet on the Thursday night football game. Bryan, let's get into this Florida team. Winners of 4 of their last 5, 38-14 victory against Vandy. They're now playing South Carolina, zigzagging at a beautiful rate. They just lost to Tennessee 41-20. The line now is South Carolina -2. How do we bet this game?
Yeah, SEC East, guys, a lot of question marks still, I think. We know Georgia's the best team. We know Vanderbilt's the worst team. Everybody else in the middle, though, I think we're still trying to figure it out. We've got conflicting trends with these two teams. Florida head coach Billy Napier, going back to his time at Louisiana, 17-6-1 against the number as a dog with 10 outright upsets. That includes what was a nice 5% winner for me and my clients a couple weeks ago when they upset Tennessee at home. But since he became the head coach at South Carolina, Shane Beamer has been very profitable as a favorite. He's 10-1 straight up, 9-2 ATS in that role. Short number here, and I'm going to lean on 2 things. One, South Carolina off a bye. You mentioned the loss to Tennessee, Prez. They've had some time to recruit. Last 4 times they played with rest, the Gamecocks are 3-1 straight up and against the number. Interestingly enough, this is going to be the first of 3 straight SEC games for Florida where the opponent is off a bye. They, too, will have rest when they play Georgia, though. But rest is one key. Home field advantage is another. We talked about how maybe home field isn't an advantage in baseball. When South Carolina and Florida play on the football field, it is an advantage. 6 of the last 7 meetings have gone to the home team. South Carolina, oh, by the way, last 16 in Columbia, 12-4 straight up, 11-5 against the number. You talk about that Florida upset of Tennessee. Where was it? It was in the swamp. Tennessee always stinks in the swamp for whatever reason. On the road this year, the Gators are 0-2. They've lost by double digits to Utah and Kentucky. Scored just 25 points in those 2 games. South Carolina, they've only played twice at home so far this year. They put up 37 and 47. Yes, against weaker teams. But I like Spencer Rattler a lot better as a quarterback than I do Florida's Graham Mertz. 2 weeks ago, like I said, tough loss for the Gamecocks in Tennessee. But remember, they hung tough in Georgia earlier this year. I like South Carolina as a short home favorite Saturday afternoon to get the job done in this SEC East showdown.
So I, too, like Shane Rattler better than Graham Mertz by a fairly wide margin. Mertz is not, Mertz wasn't very good at Wisconsin, and he's not that good for the Gators. But I love what Billy Napier's doing in Florida. I really do. And when I look at South Carolina's strength of schedule, they've beaten the bad teams. They haven't been able to step up against the good teams. Does that concern you? Do you worry about how much you consider strength of schedule issues and how teams have done against various foes? I know Florida, too, has had their struggles on the highway stepping up in class. But Florida showed me they could beat someone when Tennessee came to town. South Carolina, Mississippi State, that's their signature win. Talk to me about that.
And Mississippi State is the worst team in the SEC West, no doubt about it.
Exactly.
Yeah, you look at it, Florida did beat Tennessee. Yeah, like I said, but that was, to me, I thought Tennessee had a lot of self-inflicted wounds in there, a lot of penalties. And like I said, a big part of the handicap I had Florida in that game was Tennessee, for whatever reason, just cannot win in Gainesville, ever. Florida's other wins this year are Vandy, easily the worst team in the SEC, Charlotte, who's one of the worst teams in the country, and I think maybe it was an FBS team, might have been their other win. I don't have that in front of me, but that sounds right. So I think, again, it's Jekyll and Hyde with both of these two teams. I just lean on rested at home. I think the number should be bigger with South Carolina, considering the situation here, Teddy, especially like you said, we're in agreement, better quarterback. And Beamer has been great in this role as chalk. I think South Carolina, they're out for revenge too. Bad loss last year in Gainesville. So I think the place will be bumping. Play Sandstorm. Let's get it done, South Carolina.
Guys, Bryan Power, everyone. And Bryan, we talk all the time. I'm so impressed with your handicapping. Outstanding stuff. As we mentioned, you're on a 10-0 run in your baseball totals. We've got a promo code going for Bryan. It is POWER30. POWER30. You get 30-day all access for $229. That's every play Bryan puts out in every sport. for 30 days. That's Power 30. Bri, real quick, did I miss anything on promoting you?
Nope, not at all. Now, that pass will, of course, take you through the World Series. Last October was a great month for yours truly. Finished number one at WagerTalk, 87, 54, and 3 overall. We killed it in the playoffs, hoping for a big finish this year. And oh, by the way, 5 straight 5% winners in football, including Arizona State. It was close, but we got it done last Saturday against Colorado.
Nicely done. Bryan Power, everyone. Teddy Boss 429 writes, thankfully a professional sports betting channel where the owners don't start arguments lasting an hour about things that have nothing to do with sports or handicapping. Firstly, Boss, super appreciated. Secondly, we all know who you're talking about. Oh, that makes me, I'm warm reading that, Boss. That is just genius. I'm not going to say anything, but we all know who you're referring to. Teddy, what did we learn in the wonderful world of sports betting?
I'll talk about that in just a sec. I do want to say today is the last day for that football blowout offer. WagerTalk, site-wide, NFL, college football, only $39 a week. You know how it is. 49 straight days with football. You get those 7 weeks of college football and NFL for just $39 a week. Just go to WagerTalk.com. The more you buy and the sooner you buy, the more you save. Take advantage of that offer again. Today is the last day for that $39 a week offer from WagerTalk.com. When it comes to what I learned last night, I started writing this out, and I'm like, I want to talk about Jimmy G, and then I'm like, no, I want to talk about Brock Purdy, and then I'm like, no, I want to talk about organizations. So I'm going to start talking about organizations, because in the NFL, that's where it starts. Why are some teams bad for decades? Bad front offices. Why are some teams good for decades? Good front offices. Look what the Patriots were doing throughout for a 20-year span when they were as good as anyone in the country. So San Francisco had awful management. It was a billionaire baby situation where the billionaire died and the kids were fighting over the team, and it was doing stupid stuff. And then they made a decision, we're going to hire the Stanford grad, John Lynch, as GM. All they've done is win since. San Fran has a decision this past offseason. Jimmy G or Brock P. Trey Lance, Sam Darnold, not so much. And who'd they keep? Mr. Irrelevant. That's who. And it was right. What QBs have been better than Purdy?
None.
He's number one in QBR right now. Mahomes, Josh Allen, Tua, Hurts, Herbert. Okay. But that's the list of quarterbacks right now that are better than Brock Purdy. Jimmy G's number 21 in QBR. He leads the NFL in interceptions. Then Monday Night Football, you saw it. He threw 1 pick. He also threw 2 pick sixes that weren't caught when he stared down receivers. One was dropped before halftime. The other one was a bad angle in the fourth quarter. Jimmy G's a savvy veteran. He's going to take the checkdowns. He mostly makes good decisions. He's better than most backups in the league. But Jimmy G's never going to win you a title. And the San Fran organization said, why pay for a quarterback without that upside? It's not there. Now, the Raiders' schedule is manageable down the stretch. They could be favored as many as 7 times moving forward. But the Jimmy G, Brock Purdy, well, San Fran got the better of that deal. Yeah. And it's showing so far this season. Lawrence?
Teddy, 73% pass completion rating for Brock Purdy on throws over 10 yards, number 1 in the league. When you list those quarterbacks, Burrow, Mahomes, Allen, Herbert, are they better than Brock Purdy? Career-wise, they are, but they're not playing better than him right now. It is incredible to watch. No interceptions. The guy is like channeling Trent Dilfer's game management with Tom Brady's passing ability. It's incredible to watch. I'm so impressed with Brock Purdy. But Jimmy G, Teddy, is way more important in my life. That dude gets me action late at night. Every time he's on TV, my woman gets all excited and somebody has to take care of her. So I shout out to Jimbo G because the women freaking love that guy. And I get it.
You just compared Brock Purdy to Tom Brady. And I'm going to tap the brakes on that. Yes,
come
you did.
on, man. He's like 10 games into his career.
Tom Brady's arm strength.
I'm talking about right now. This second, the way he is currently playing.
What you're missing from the equation here is how good San Fran is in every aspect. Their offensive line is incredible. Their running game is strong. They have playmakers everywhere. The defense can win a game when the offense scores a field goal. So the situation that Brock Purdy is in, and all the years Brady was in New England, the Patriots was never in that situation. Not once.
I agree.
So,
with that said.
So it's an organizational difference as much as it is a quarterback difference.
I agree with you, Teddy. With that said, some of the passes Brock Purdy made are very reminiscent of Tom Brady's style of passing. There was one particular pass, blah, blah, blah. There was one particular pass that was actually called back on a holding call, a right to left deep slant. It was just a spectacular throw. I'm not implying that he's going to be the next Tom Brady. I'm saying right this minute, there is no quarterback playing better than Tom Brady. Guys, if you like the show, hit the like button, please. I have a presidential address. We need 125 likes for that. We're at 64. It's greatly appreciated. Let's bring in Eric Pauly from the Gold Sheet. Eric, anything to add so far on the show?
I like that debate you guys had going back and forth. Gonna have to agree and disagree with some of you guys on the Brock Purdy stuff. He's been absolutely amazing. He deserves the credit. Situation's also tailor-made, so we just got to keep letting that man at least play a full season's worth of games before we start throwing out declarations, if you ask me.
Yes. He's not the next Tom Brady. Okay? He's probably the next Troy Aikman, though.
You also just called Tom Brady the best quarterback. I know it was a verbal slip, but you called Tom Brady the best quarterback in the NFL this year, which he is not. He's retired.
I said that? Hey, well, okay. You know what, Teddy? I got 5 freaking shows today. Give me a break. Eric, let's go, man. You know what, Eric? I'm going to reverse the games. Let's talk about the Broncos, Kansas City right off the top. Denver is plus 10.5 in this game, and you like them. Tell us why.
Yeah, so this is a situation where obviously the market's kind of bottomed out on the Denver Broncos. You lose at home to the New York Jets. It doesn't really get all that much worse than that. This weekend is going to be defined, first weekend of the season, to really be truly defined. Outside actually week 1 by the weather. Now, speculations are obviously Mother Nature does what she pleases, but it seems as if the wind is going to be a factor on Thursday night. Certainly something to monitor, but from a market perspective, we've already seen this total tick down from 50, 50.5, all the way down to now 47, 47.5 at some sharp books. But the spread hasn't really budged whatsoever. And in a game with a lower total now, obviously 47 is still pretty high, but it's dropping. There's a lot more value in taking the points for the team. And even though it's an ugly situation now, I'm not a bettor. I know there are a lot out there who always just love to bet the ugly dog and go that direction. That's not what I personally like to do, but this is a spot where, for starters, you again have the total taking down with the wind, which will be advantageous to Denver. You have a Kansas City team that struggles to win by margin in these situations. Patrick Mahomes has a less than 50% record against the spread in games as a big favorite in his career. The Chiefs' offense is not what we're used to from them. Travis Kelce got banged up. I know he practiced yesterday, but this is not a situation where I think the Chiefs are going to go balls to the wall and let Kelce try to run rampant in that kind of meaningless matchup against a dead-in-the-water Broncos team. And on the other hand, the Broncos offense has not been as bad as advertised this year. Defense has been abysmal, but at least last week they got back Josie Jewell and Justin Simmons, 2 of their best players on defense. So just asking any team to cover on a short week, 10.5 points is a lot to ask for. Adding in the Mother Nature factors, the Chiefs offense being a little slow, and Denver finally getting some pieces back on defense. I think the back door might be open in this one, and 10.5 points in a game where the Chiefs are 10-0 in their last 10 straight up against the Broncos, just 5-5 against the number. I think it's a do-or-die situation for Denver, not calling for an outright W, but I think 10.5 points, especially having those key numbers covered, is a good way to look at this game. It's a small 2% wager. We play that Gold Sheet.
Yeah, I mean, for the divisional matchup, we saw both meetings last year decided by 6 points or less. This has been a competitive series against the spread, even though it hasn't been quite so competitive straight up, with KC winning all of those games in a row. I want to ask you about when we talk about these two defenses right now, we continue with them. Every time we talk about Kansas City, we're talking Mahomes. I look at the Chiefs defense, and that's Super Bowl caliber. They have their defense is the strength of the team right now. That's not the case for Denver. In general, I like betting on good defenses and against bad defenses. How bad is that Broncos defense? How much worse is it than Kansas City's? And if the weather wasn't bad, would you like this play as much?
So a huge shout out to defensive coordinator Steve Spagnuolo. He's been one of the best in the business. His defensive philosophy is generating one negative play or drive that will then that be a sack, a big loss, or a tackle for a loss to try to force punts. And they have his quarterback, Trent McDuffie's been playing great. Obviously, Chris Jones. It's just a talented team, so kudos to them. And then Denver, you have a defense that's been graded by DVOA as one of the worst defenses in the history of the National Football League, or at least since DVOA has been tracked. But again, Justin Simmons is one of the best defensive backs in all football, so his addition is huge. And like you said, the Chiefs' defense deserves a ton of credit. They've been playing great, but this offense has not been clicking. And obviously, Denver's defense let Zach Wilson look relatively decent against them again, and we know how bad he is. But if there were no weather concerns here, this is just 100% a stay away from me. Just as the total trickles down, the more important points become. So getting 10.5 points as an underdog just become more valuable in the spot. And I do anticipate this number closing under 10.5. And there could potentially be a middle opportunity there, but a small stake, a small play here would not be playing this if I didn't think the wind would be a factor whatsoever.
Eric Pauly, everyone. Outstanding, man. I'm with you on that Denver call as well. Real quick, Kelsey's status?
I saw he practiced yesterday, so that's always a good sign. But again, if he gets a little hobbled in pregame, there's no need to run him out there against this Denver Broncos team. You have much more important feats to climb this upcoming season than beating the Broncos on Thursday night.
Eric Pauly. Teddy? Whoever is, please mute.
No, it's Ronald. That's Ronald.
It wasn't me, Teddy. You were bitching me out in Slack for.
I wasn't bitching you. I'm like hitting mute, but it's just coming out.
It wasn't me, bro. It normally is me, though. So I have no problem. Yeah, it's normally me. Okay. Eric, I know you want to talk side on the Saints Texans game, but I just want to make mention to everybody, in case you haven't been doing your homework, New Orleans is now 11 straight games to the under, 14 of their last 15. Houston has gone under twice. This number is shocking to me, and I'll be talking about it in detail on the NFL presidential address, so check that out. Okay, brother, Saints, Texans, where are you going?
Yeah, so cash the under that we gave out on the show for last week, and the Saints almost got to the over by themselves in that down. I was sweating that end of the game, like, were they going to let up a garbage time touchdown to kill my under? But Saints did well there. And like you just said, Prez, I'm very surprised that this game has not gotten more support in the betting market on the Saints. I'm certainly leaning Saints. I played the Saints, the 3% play. That's a gold sheet play that is up. Was one of the first things that caught my eye when writing the gold sheet Monday morning. Make this game -3, so we'll certainly take New Orleans at a money line at a -120 here. And I'm just not sure where the market gets here. So obviously you have Derek Carr now coming in another week healthy, and a lot of talk about Derek Carr throughout the course of his career are that he does not do well covering against the spread on the road, which is happening in this situation. And he also is not very good when there's a lot of pressure in his face. These are two stats from his career. However, we're talking about a Texans team that plays indoors, so a lot of that outdoor bad weather concerns are not apparent whatsoever for Carr here. And we're talking about a Texans team that, to give them certainly credit because they don't have really just big names on their defensive line, middle of the pack in pressure rates and hurry percentages and blitz percentages, sack percentages. So not a situation where I expect Derek Carr to be completely under fire from this Texans defense. On the flip side, you have a Houston team that, while they deserve credit for how a little bit ahead of schedule they are, they're overrated. You look at it last week and you see them, only losing on a walk-off field goal to the Falcons. But if you watch that game and broke down the film of that game, the Falcons had 200-plus more yards than them, and 2 costly fumbles when they were driving are what kept that game close. That should have been potentially a 2-possession game. And when it came to push come to shove, they couldn't get a stop they needed, and they made Desmond Ridder, who people were saying were as bad as Zach Wilson, look like Patrick Mahomes last week. So you have the best defense that the Texans have faced this season. I know you're going to say the Ravens. That's week 1. You have all summer to prepare. It's kind of a wash. You're going to say the Steelers, but the Steelers were coming off a short week on Monday night, so obviously they were a little lethargic and played with their food and got beat down in that matchup. So the best defense that the Texans have played this season And you have a Saints offense that is much better than the Atlanta Falcons offense that they played and is one of the better offenses the Texans have played. I don't give Houston too much home field advantage. I think the Saints have a very big edge on both sides of the ball. They're great pass defense, 7th in DVOA against the pass. Alvin Kamara is back and healthy. Derek Carr is a week healthier. I just don't know how this game is basically a PK. I'm seeing 1.5, some ones. Got the minus 120 and expecting that to close with some line value for sure.
Outstanding stuff. Eric Pauly, everyone. Part of the Gold Sheet. You can find him at WagerTalk.com and thegoldsheet.com. Eric, what do you have to promote?
Yeah, Gold Sheet plus 5.51 units this season. Obviously, so much time to go. Never going to be complaining about that. Would like to get the momentum going a little bit more. So we have 2 plays, including the Thursday night. We have Broncos, and we're going to have some props for Thursday. Sunday, all access. We have this Saints game and also another teaser loaded. But, of course, we're looking to add at least 3 to 4 more plays than that. And also, don't neglect playoff baseball. We are on a 5-1 run over the last 7 days. Of course, all playoff baseball there. Hit 2 winners last night. We'll be loading up 2, hopefully, winners shortly. So all things Gold Sheet. Check out the newsletter, goldsheet.com. If you're looking for just the picks, WagerTalk.com, Gold Sheet profile, college football, MLB, NFL, and, of course, NBA and CBB are on the horizon. So make sure to take advantage of all of those things.
Eric Pauly, thanks for joining us in your regular spot every Wednesday. We love having you. Outstanding breakdown. Guys, we still have so much more to go. We got Teddy's big game breakdown. We got buy and sell, NFL Marketplace, and Ronald Cabang as well. We're iffy on a presidential address. 329 of you guys in the chat. 86 thumbs up. Not good enough. We need to get to 125. I got some hockey bets to give out. Teddy, it's time for your big game breakdown. Take it away.
Let's do it. Wednesday night college football, ESPN 2, 7:30 Eastern time, 4:30 here on the left coast. Let's talk Florida International versus Texas El Paso right now. UTEP Miners, 3-point dogs. Money's coming on the under literally as we speak. It was 44 just a few minutes ago. It's 43.5 right now. And the money has poured in on FIU. And it's simple why the money's poured on FIU. Their quarterback injuries for UTEP. And UTEP's been a very disappointing season. Very disappointing team this season. Just 1-5 on the campaign. Whereas FIU 3-3, having overachieved compared to what they did a year ago. All that being said, this is a classic betting market knee-jerk reaction about 2 teams that people don't know very well, where they're fading a team with quarterback injuries, even if the team doesn't want to throw the football that much. All right, it doesn't look like Gavin Hardison's going to go for UTEP tonight. I believe it's going to be the Frosh McNamara going for them at QB, who A, he's played before, B, he's had a full week of practice, C, there's no film on him, and D, UTEP is a running team. The quarterback's going to hand the ball off 80% of the time, 70% of the time. So the classic knee-jerk reaction, oh, we got to fade him. The quarterback's hurt. Look, the Miners beat FIU 40-6 last year. They outgained them 335-15 on the ground, total yards 525-71. I understand that it's been a rough start to the season for UTEP. But I think they're the better of these 2 teams, even with the QB injuries. FIU, the Panthers, not a team I trust at all. Take the points. There's your big game breakdown. Back to you, Mr. Prez.
Teddy, I love hearing you break down a game that I'm betting. I released a play on that game for my clients. You guys can find it at WagerTalk.com. I'm number 3 in profit in the CFB over the last 365 days. So make sure to check my analysis out and whether I agree or disagree or am on the total on that game. Ronald Cabang still joining us after. Oh, bugger off. Ronald Cabang.
No, because if you're on the game, you have a tell. If you're on the game, you say that play is presidentially approved. So you're either against me or you have a total.
Oh, that's not true. Not true at all. I didn't say Denver was presidentially approved. I say it sometimes. But I should say it more often because it's bloody catchy, Teddy. And not only that, but I could be on a total on that game too, dude.
So, I expect you are.
Yeah. You got great hair today, Teddy. You got great hair, man. I got to tell you. Okay. Buy and sell, NFL Marketplace. We're going to go down 5 teams. Teddy will talk, I'll talk, etc., etc. We're going to start with the Cincinnati Bengals, and my God, what that week can do. Here's a team that we, at least I was, I thought was just done. And they came back. They played an outstanding game against Arizona. Their biggest problem, period, is their O-line. I think they're going to struggle when they play teams that have a pass rush. Teddy, is this simply they played Arizona, or is this a team that is now in the bye category?
This is they just played Arizona category for me. Multiple issues significant issues for Cincinnati last week. Defense continues to get gashed on the ground, and that's something that weren't expecting from the Bengals. And frankly, last week was Jamar Chase making plays. It wasn't Burrow having time. It wasn't a bunch of receivers looking good. It was one elite receiver making plays all over the field and winning them the game. No, in fact, I cashed a ticket with Cincinnati last week against Arizona. The spot was too good and the matchups were too good. And immediately after the game, when I was preparing my NFL opening line report, I'm like, there's no buy sign on this team. If anything, there's a sell. What about you?
I'm a wait and see. Still, I do.
This is not wait and see. This is buy or sell. Are you buying or selling Cincinnati?
If I had to choose one or the other, I'm buying Cincinnati only because they've shown us.
All right, let's talk about Green Bay.
Oh, just shut me up. Okay, Green Bay, Teddy, you go.
No, you asked me the first one. Okay. I asked you the second one.
Green Bay is a sell team. Green Bay is a sell team. This team is terrible. Aaron Jones did not play in the last game. I get that, but I still look at this team and I think they're going to be lucky to get 6 wins on the season. Jordan Love is acceptable, nothing special. Christian Watson's great, but they do need other weapons. Their defense is mediocre. I am 100% on sell Green Bay.
No, I think Green Bay's properly valued in the markets. If anything, they're undervalued in the markets right now. They're not a team that the betting markets are excited about. They're a team that the wise guys have been fading basically from the preseason. They didn't play well on Monday night. I'm seeing home road dichotomy out of Green Bay. Maybe we look at them at home a little bit more than on the road.
Yeah, I'm definitely on the sell side of that. The New York Jets, they're finally getting their act together. Teddy, buy or sell? Buying.
I'm buying the Jets because they have a defense. I'm not buying them heavy because they have Zach Wilson at quarterback, and Zach Wilson is what he is. You know, he's not going to be a good quarterback, but when they can create big plays with the running game like they did last week against a weak defense, and when their defense, the Jets defense is pretty good. This is a team we can buy, and the markets aren't exactly, the bettors aren't exactly clamoring to bet on the Jets right now. I think they'll be relevant throughout the year.
Teddy, I got to go back to your big game breakdown real quick. There's chatter in the chat room. They're confused. Is it UTEP or FIU that you are on?
UTEP +3. UTEP +3 is the play. I thought I made that clear. Take the points at the end. Yeah.
Okay,
take the points. That doesn't mean lay the points. That's take the points.
The Chicago Bears, Teddy, I think they're a buy team. Shocking for me. I've been pissing all over them for 3 straight years. But this is a team that is getting their act together, and this is a team that has opened up their offense and starting to move the ball. I think there are 11 straight overs, 10 straight overs, give or take, as well. So keep that in mind. Justin Jefferson out this weekend. Keep that in mind. This is a buy team for me, period.
So there's 2 problems with me buying the Bears. And conceptually, I'm with you because Chicago is valued so low right now. They're valued as a bottom 3. Their price is a bottom 3 NFL team, and I think they're a little bit better than that. Maybe a bottom 5 NFL team they're priced at. But there are 2 issues. One is their home field advantage is non-existent. They have kind of a home field disadvantage. What have they lost? 8 straight games on that field, maybe more. In straight up fashion. So when you're not winning straight up, you're obviously not covering against the spread. And the Bears defense is real dicey for me. So it's a hard team for me to say, yeah, I'm going to buy them if I don't think they can get stops. And I don't trust their home field at all. So that said, if I have a choice, buy or sell, I'm buying. I agree a whole 100%. When you have a bottom 5 team that's capable, bottom 5 power team that's capable, it's a team that you'd rather have your money on or against. Last but not least, last team we're going to talk about, the Dallas Cowboys. What are we going to do with Dallas moving forward?
I'm going to skip this week and then I'm going to buy. You know what? The destruction in San Fran is good for betting Dallas moving forward. We've seen this from them year in and year out. They lay eggs on a regular basis. Dak is just too inconsistent. 2 great games in a row, then 1 complete egg. I hate the spot they're in this week playing the Chargers. But moving forward, I think they're a buy team. You?
So Dallas is a defense. Dallas has all kinds of playmakers. They have an offensive line. There are lots of things to like about Dallas. What we don't like about Dallas is Dak against a good defense.
Yeah.
Dak Prescott has shown us enough in this league by this stage of his career that when he faces a good defense, they're a team to face. That's why Dallas isn't going anywhere in the postseason. But you put that team up against a weakling, they're going to pound them. We saw that against the Patriots. So everyone's pounding the Patriots right about now. So I guess my buy sell on Dallas is nuanced. I want to buy Dallas when they're the clearly better team as a bigger favorite. I want to sell them when they're facing a good defense.
Great segment. Love doing this with you, Teddy. We'll continue to do it every week. Guys, we need only 5 more likes for the presidential address. Let's bring in Ronald Cabang. And Ronald, before we get into your games, is there anything you'd like to discuss in relation to the buy and sell segment you just heard?
No, I think you guys were spot on. I mean, I like how you guys mentioned defense first and foremost, just because to me in the NFL, I think that's super important. And that kind of leads into the Thursday night football game. I know you guys mentioned the wind, and we'll talk about that later on why I like my play. But I agree with for the most part on your buy and sell part.
Perfect. Let's start with some WNBA. Liberty and Aces. You've got a total bet for us. What is it?
Yeah, this game is tonight. This is game 2 of the WNBA Finals. The Aces took game 1, 99-82. They had a huge second half, both offensively and defensively. They were actually down 3 points at half, then outscored the Liberty 53-33 in the second half. I mean, the Aces were just highly efficient offensively, shooting 55% from the floor, 41% from 3. The Liberty, I mean, they're going to have to step up big time defensively. When you're in the finals and you're fighting for the championship, you can't allow your opponents to shoot that efficiently. Going into game 2 here on the offensive side of the ball, Liberty, they're going to need more from Sabrina. Even though she had 5 boards, 5 assists, she only had 7 points, only made 1 of her 5 three-point attempts. Other than Jonquil Jones and Stewie doing their thing, Maureen Johannes was the only other bright spot that I can, could see in that game. She scored 14 points off of the bench. On the Aces side offensively, they were just firing on all cylinders in game 1. They had 4 players that hit, I think, 19 or more. Gray, Plum, Jackie Young, Asia. In the Aces, they're just balanced offensively. They showed that throughout the whole season, and they dominated in the paint. They shot the 3 ball extremely well. If any of the big 4 are struggling, they have the talent to overcome it. You know, they just those top 4 ladies are just really good at what they do. Not only just scoring, but they also can distribute the ball, each one of them. Defensively, the Liberty, like I said, they can't allow the Aces to shoot like that again. They really need to tighten up defensively, or the series is going to be over in no time. They'll need to be more physical, in my opinion. And I think that if they can do that early, that'll set the tone for the rest of the game. The Aces, they dominated the second half defensively. They allowed the Liberty to just score 33 points. What they did in the second half was they created a lot of pressure in the perimeter, and that made it hard for the Liberty guards to feed Jonquil or Stewie in the post. I think for me, the Aces, they're still the more balanced team offensively and versatile defensively. The Aces, I feel like they have the upper hand here in this series. This is their championship to lose here, but you can't underestimate the Liberty and their ability to make necessary adjustments from game to game. I don't think the Aces shoot as well as they did in game 1 here. I took the under 171.5. That is a client play, so if you see it on the site, don't buy it. That's the play that's up there. Some trends that align with it: Liberty are 4-2 to the under after allowing opponents to shoot over 48% from the field, so they make the necessary adjustments defensively. 2-0 to the under in road games following a road loss, so they like to avenge these losses on the road here. And both times their opponents went under their team total by double digits. The Aces is 6-0-1 to the under this season when facing the same team in back-to-back games, and the total is higher than 170. And that's the situation we're in today. And then another one here, 8-1-1 to the under when playing at least their second home game in a row and they scored at least 93 or more in the previous game. So they tend to let down offensively in the next game here. My model aligns with those trends. 85-82 is the score in this situation in favor of the Aces. So from a side perspective, I am leaning towards the Liberty to cover that 5.5 spread, but I like the under a little bit more here.
Ronald Cabang says, look at the under WNBA Finals, Aces and Liberty. That's tonight, right? Isn't it? The WNBA Finals this
tonight,
evening,
yep.
Ronald? Yeah,
that's
Wednesday
tonight.
night.
6 p.m. Pacific.
And 9 o'clock on the left coast, or on the East Coast, whatever you want to call it. 6 o'clock on the real coast. Now I've got Cowboys fans mad at me and Eastern time zone people mad at me. Let's shift our focus to Thursday night football. You want to talk team total here. I got 47.5 for the full game total, 29.5 for the KC total, 17.5 for the Denver total. Where are we going to go with this one?
Yeah, I mean, you guys talked about the wind earlier. I'll get into that a little bit later. But if you look at this Broncos team, they are 1-4, right? But it's not like they're at the bottom of the league offensively. I think Eric touched on it. Their offense is actually pretty good. Russell has thrown for over 1,200 passing yards, 11 touchdowns, only 2 interceptions, 13th in the league in passing offense, 19th in rushing. Their offense actually ranks 11th in averaging 24.2 points per game. The problem offensively is just untimely turnovers and sacks. I think that's kind of what has stalled their play here. The other thing on the opposite side here, the Chiefs on a 4-game winning streak, they rank 9th in passing offense, 12th in rushing. Mahomes doing his thing, but one surprise is the 4 interceptions already this season. The problem here is Kelsey's questionable with the ankle injury, but he was limited in practice yesterday, so hopefully he does get a chance to play here. But I'm not too sure. They're really going to need him to put up the points that I expect them to. Playing against the worst scoring defense in the league, obviously a lot of it has to do with allowing Dolphins to score 70 points. But if you look at these other teams that they face, they allowed 35 to the Commanders, 28 to the Bears, 31 to the Jets, all lower tier offenses. On a per game average, they're allowing close to 470 total yards per game, 29th in the league in stopping the pass, dead last in stopping the run, and allowing 36.2 points per game. Like I said, Prez before the show mentioned how crazy the wind is going to be on Thursday. Eric just mentioned it as well, but I'm just not too sure that's going to matter because this defense has just been giving up big plays all season long, both through the air and on the ground. Now they face one of the best playmaking QBs in the league. They got Pacheco, they got CEH, who can eat on the ground as well. And this is one of the best teams when it comes to screen plays and things like that, and being able to get yards after the catch. So I'm just not too sure if the wind is really going to affect it, from a full game perspective. But the Chiefs defense has been great this season, allowing just 16 points per game, 5th best in the league. They do give up yards, but their third down defense is really solid. I think they're 9th in the league in third down defense. My model actually has this projected as 34-17. So the 17 kind of spot on where the Broncos team total is. It's just really hard to really predict this Broncos offense. So I kind of stayed off of the spread. I stayed off of the full game total, not knowing what I'm going to get from the Broncos, but knowing that this Broncos defense is just as bad as it is, and the total coming down a little bit. I gotta like this Chiefs team total over 29.5. Another thing to mention, in the last 3 years, the Chiefs are 11-5 to their team total over when facing a defense allowing 23 or more points per game. Like I said, I know the wind might play a factor a little bit here, but the ability of this Chiefs offense to make to do for the yards after the catch or even this rushing game here, they should be able to get over 29.5.
Teddy's muted. Oh, it's like the best thing in the world. Is he unmuting?
I sneezed. I sneezed on air. I was trying to undo it. Yeah, you love it to rip me. And I thought I clicked it back over. So I guess I got I promised Prez I would ask you about the weather, but you just talked about the weather. So I'm going to talk about pace of play for a minute. KC just played a game, Minnesota. Each team had 8 possessions, full game. They're having these, the Kansas City offense this year is predicated on long, slow, ball control drives, which makes me agree with you that even if it's windy, you can make a case for the over because they're not trying to chuck it downfield. But, I mean, KC, when Minnesota played a game last week, 8 drives each, man. It's hard to cash over tickets with that. It's hard to cash team over tickets with that. Are you worried at all about pace of play, especially with Denver ranked 31st in pace of play? They run they're really slow. Does that worry you?
Not too much here. I think that, like I said, I think third down conversion rate and all that stuff is really important when it comes to this. Also, knowing Russell Wilson and how he plays, there's going to be a lot of third down and long situations here, and that's not going to be good. You know, obviously you mentioned the wind. If they're going to be in that situation a lot, there's going to be a lot of punts, in my opinion, on that Denver side. And you know, for me, like I said, the third down conversion rate here, I think Denver is allowing 40% or more. Kansas City should be able to, convert their third downs as well. They're first in the league in that situation, converting over 50%. Even though they have long drives, limited drives, they're efficient. They're going to be able to score, in my opinion, and that's the reason why I like that over. That's also the reason why I stayed off of Broncos, because they're just so you can't really predict what they're going to do and how they're going to play in different situations. Until I can get a good read on them, I'm probably not going to play sides or full game totals that include them. And that's why I focused on the Chiefs specifically.
Outstanding. Ronald Cabang, everybody. Great work, Ronald. We love having you on. Thanks for joining us. Teddy covers. We've hit 140 likes. Daniel's son. I wish we had the music. It got me all pumped up. It's time for the daily presidential address. Big card in the NHL tonight. Okay, not so big, 6 games, but I got a lot of bets. I got 2 bets up for my clients, and I have also 1 college football bet as well. I have a 3-pack up, all access package, $19 over at WagerTalk.com. Let's get into some plays for tonight, guys. I want to start with the Toronto Maple Leafs versus Montreal, and I understand everyone, you're such a homer, Leafs this, Leafs that. This Montreal Canadiens team is horrific. It is not unreasonable to think that they're the worst team in all of hockey. Toronto is chomping at the bit. They had a taste of the playoff run last year, and I think they sat around all summer, pissed off and ready to go. I have a predicted score of 6-2 in this game. I like the over slightly, but I like Toronto minus 1.5 as well. I'm also personally betting Toronto minus 2.5 on the alternate line. I also like the under in the Calgary-Winnipeg game. That total is 6.5, which is really crazy to me. Winnipeg is going to play to the under all year. And Calgary is going to play to whatever their opponents want them to play to. They're going to win 5-4 games. They're going to win 3-1 games. Under in Calgary and Winnipeg, and slight over in the Leaf game and the Leafs minus 1.5. That's your daily presidential address. Teddy, my brother, I literally am having shawarma today, and then I've got 3 more shows to go. Take us home, bro.
Sure, Lawrence. Good to see you working every once in a while. That's going to wrap it for the Wednesday edition of Wager Talk Today. We'll do it again tomorrow. Same time, same channel. 9 a.m. here on the left coast, noon for you back east. Between now and then, you guys know what to do. Enjoy the games, and best of luck with all your wagers.